Okay, so Ms. Perkins, if you raise your right hand, if y'all take yourselves off mute, Ms. Perkins, raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony about okay, I got two. Who's the all right? Oh, okay, different names. Sorry. Swear you affirm testimony about gives truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. So let's see, Ms. Stacy, Mr. Michon, and Mr. Corey. If y'all could all raise your right hands, take yourselves off mute.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Y'all swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
I do.
Okay. So, Ms. Torrea, is Travona, that's a witness of yours?
Yes.
Okay. So for the witnesses, I'm going to put you folks in the waiting room so that you won't hear the testimony. Now, yes, it's streaming. So I'll tell you this. I'll be able to pretty much tell if you watched it on YouTube or listening to it. So I'm going to put you in the waiting room, Mr. Trayvon, sorry. And then what about any of the Bravens? Do y'all have any witnesses?
No.
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 No?
Okay. So I'm not allowed to listen.
Is she going to testify?
If need to be, I can.
Okay, yeah, you can't listen if you're going to testify, okay?
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I'll put
Okay.
you back in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know that I'm here?
What case are you on, ma'am? Yours?
Artist versus artist.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you can probably go ahead and leave and let them call you. I'm going to reset it until next Friday at 9:30. We'll send them the link, so I'm sure that they can send you the link.
So you want me to leave?
I mean, if you're interested in watching, you can feel free to watch it on YouTube. But yeah, if you don't mind. And Mr. McWhorter,
Okay.
I think you're a witness too, Mr. McWhorter. An artist, isn't he? Somebody. Take yourself off mute, Mr. McWhorter. Mr. McWhorter, you got to learn how to operate Zoom. Look at the phone. Look at the phone, Mr. McWhorter. Look at the phone. I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay,
Are you a witness and artist?
artists and artists, yes, ma'am.
Case is reset until next Friday. I'm sure they will send you a Zoom link for next Friday. Thank
Okay,
y'all.
I will be up there. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Oh, no, not up here. You're gonna be on Zoom.
Here.
You're gonna be in the court.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I will be there at Zoom then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Bradley, they tell you that, are they gonna want to put something on the record, Ms. Bradley?
No, I was just messaging you to let you know that nothing will be put on the record today.
Okay, and I'm sure they will send you a copy if they want you back next Friday. It'll be
Yes.
at 9:30. Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Yep, no, thank you.
All right. So here's how we're gonna do this. I know it's gonna be a lot of y'all wanting to talk at the same time, but we'll let Ms. Perkins go first. Ms. Perkins, I want you to go in this order. I want you to tell me about Sean, then Miss Stacy, then Mr. Corey. Do it all separate. Don't say he, because there's a lot of he's, okay?
Okay.
Right? So let's start with, and then Mr. Michon, I'll hear from, and Mr. Corey, I'll hear from all of y'all, okay? I'm gonna try to do this. I'll take some good notes. All right, so tell me what happened between you and Michon. Specifically, you and Michon. Stick to that one thing so I can keep all these straight.
Okay.
Go ahead.
On January 20th, my Sean and I were in a Lyft on the way home from Chateau Elan. Well, on the way to his house from Chateau Elan. And we were having a disagreement about something. After having the disagreement, he began to put his hands on me. He was grabbing me, pushing me into the door, saying some really violent things to me, threatening me. And at that time, after that happened, I texted his mother and I told her that I wanted her to get my daughter, Blake, ready to go because it wasn't safe for us to be there. When we got back,
Let me still stick to Michonne.
okay, when we got back to his house, I was not initially allowed into the home. I did leave for a second, but I did not feel comfortable leaving my daughter there because of the things that had just happened between us in the Lyft ride. And so once I did get into the house, an argument ensued between Marshawn and I. And at that point, he did put his hands on me. I believe he pushed me like towards a wall or something. At the time, he was also holding my daughter. Someone did call the police. I'm not sure who did. And that's when they came and took note of everything that happened. And they were able to point out that I was bleeding my neck and my back.
So this little girl is a child, it's y'all's child?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all just have one child together?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now tell me what, Miss Stacy.
Yes.
So,
Are you calling me?
I'm gonna tell her to let her hear about what her petition against
Oh.
you before, and then I'll hear from each of you. So what
Okay.
happened between you specifically and Miss Stacy?
So again, when I was in the lift, I did text Miss Stacy. I don't know if she ever received my text messages, but I do have all of them. I sent text messages telling her that Sean had just hit me in an Uber, and also that I needed her to get Blake ready to go because it wasn't safe for either of us to be there. She was actually standing in between Marshawn and I when he hit me when we were in the home. And I let her know, like, you just saw that he hit me. I just need your help leaving. And in the midst of that, there was a lot of grabbing and pushing me. And I am almost sure that Miss Stacy was involved in that because her and Marshawn both were.
All right, now, since you was in between y'all, so when you say you were
Standing in front, she was standing in front of me, and Marshawn was standing behind her. Once Marshawn reached around her to grab me, Miss Stacy and I began to have words with each other. I was letting her know, you saw that he just hit me out. I had my hands up at one point, and I said, I'm not fighting. I literally just want to go home.
So did Miss Stacy put her hands on you?
I'm almost positive she did, yes.
Okay, so I'm not real sure why that I'm almost positive.
Because both Marshawn and Miss Stacy were coming towards me at the same time.
Okay. All right. What about you and Mr. Corey?
It was the same thing. Mr. Corey came, he was not there in the beginning, but at some point, I'm assuming because of the yelling and everything that was going on, he came downstairs. And again, there were a lot of hands. I was being scratched and pulled. I have marks on my neck from where I was being scratched, and Mr. Corey was there as well. And that's why I included him in the petition.
But what did Mr. Corey do to you?
I am positive that Mr. Corey was involved in scratching and or pushing me as well.
So you're telling me that first is Mr. Michon.
It was all three of them at the same time.
Mr. Michon pushing you, fighting you. Miss Stacy jumps in the middle like, no, I'm gonna get some of this. And she wants to start pushing and scratching on me. Then
I
Mr.
believe they were trying to get out of the home. That's why they were pushing me. I'm sorry.
Now Mr. Corey comes in. He's like, well, everybody else gonna push her and scratch her. I'm gonna push her and scratch her. So then he
Yes. No one tried to help me after Miss Stacy saw that Marshawn had just basically attacked me.
Okay. All right. Let me hear. All right. Ladies first. Miss Stacy, do you want to respond to what she said about you? Just what she said about you. I'll let.
So
Corey.
she came in the door. So I had the kids. I heard like knocking at the door. I came downstairs. I could hear her screaming outside the door saying, give me my baby, give me my baby. When I came downstairs, Marshawn was coming in the door, but she did not come inside. She had pulled off. Her truck was at the top. She had pulled off and she had left. Then I gave their daughter to Marshawn, so we had her in the hands the whole time. At some point, she came back. She came down the driveway with her hand on the horn, just beat her hand on the horn for maybe about 5 minutes. At that time, she came to the door. He opened the side of the door. I went back upstairs, but I was at the top of the steps. When she came in the door, they were screaming. She came in the door. Her back was up against the door. And now he's over toward like the room. She's at the door. I'm at the top of the steps, but she can't see me. And she's yelling, he's beating my ass. He's beating my ass. But he was nowhere near her. They start yelling. She was belligerent. They had both been drinking. They start yelling at each other. I'm in between both of them. She's on one side, he's on the other side. He's holding the daughter. There's no hitting going on. I'm just telling them both to stop screaming. They're yelling to the top of their lungs. The baby is crying. She's reaching for the baby. The baby won't go. She's holding my Sean around his neck because she's scared. I'm telling them to both just stop the screaming, stop the yelling. She sat down on the steps at one time, and she was like, "It's all of you against me. It's all of you against me." I had my hands up, but she was sitting on the step, and she said, "I just want to take her and leave." And I said, the reason why she couldn't take her and leave is because she had been drinking. They both had, but I wasn't going to he wasn't going to let her get in the car with the baby because she had been drinking. My husband was upstairs. He is handicapped, can't walk. He has a device on, but he can hear.
I'll let him tell me what he did.
Okay, but he's the one. He's the one who called the cops.
So, did you ever put your hand?
I never put my hands on her. I did put my hands on my son because I was telling him to move back because I was in between them, and all they were doing was yelling and screaming. They were yelling and screaming at each other. The baby was crying. The daughter upstairs was crying. And I was just telling them to stop. Everybody just stop. Just take a break. Everybody stop, take a break.
All right. Mr. Corey, what do you got to say, sir?
Ma'am, Your Honor, I don't know why this young lady said I put my hands on her. I would never put my hands on a woman. First off, I heard the yelling and screaming. Like my wife said, I heard her when she said, "He's beating my ass." And nobody was even near her. So then my other granddaughter, I'm trying to compose her upstairs and tell her everything is going to be all right. I hear her screaming again. I take the device off my leg and I come downstairs, and she is combative against my wife. She's combative against my son. She's raging out of control. So I'm just standing to the side because I don't want anything to happen to my leg, first off. She's screaming, she's yelling. So at this point, I just call the police because I don't want any fighting, any damage to anybody, first of all. And for this young lady to say she think I put my hands on her, I'm a grown man. If I would have put my hands on her, she would have felt me putting her hands on her. So I mean, first of all, I'm not gonna hit a woman. I've been with my wife for 30-something years. Me and her have never got into anything like this. My son has never seen anything like this. So really, it's just, I don't know. I don't know why she's making all this up or she's angry. But really, Yana, this night was tragic because it was two young babies seeing all of this, and it was unnecessary.
Now, your wife said that you can't walk. Are you like me? I got a foot.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that. And at the time of the argument, I had a stimulating device on my leg.
Tim's unit?
That pumped fluid out of my leg.
On the Tim's units?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Mr. Michon.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
It's my Sean. But so no, you're okay. So
There's Sean, my Sean.
just like that, yes.
All right, go ahead.
So the whole instance started, we were leaving Chateau Elan. I had took Treya to Chateau Elan for her birthday. We did a wine taste and we both had a lot to drink. I decided, when we were leaving the house that we would Uber, obviously, because we were going to be drinking. So we leave Chateau Elan. We're having a discussion on the way back about my older daughter who is with a different woman. But, obviously Treya is in her life. So we're having a conversation about her. The conversation had been going on for I live in Roswell, so we're coming from Brazelton to Roswell. It's maybe about an hour, 20-minute trip. The conversation had been going on for maybe 25, 30 minutes, and it was just continuing. So at that point, I was just asking her, like, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about something else. She got upset. We started having an argument back and forth about, now we're talking about our child because she was saying, that I don't help her take care of the child, things like that. And that's when the argument in the car, got a little heated. I never put my hands on her. It was just a verbal argument. The Lyft driver, obviously he was there. he never said anything about, there being any violence. She kept asking the Lyft driver to pull over and let her out. He's just like, hey, let me get you guys home. On the way home, the Lyft driver actually got pulled over by the police for speeding. So the police, they were there at the car. She, never said anything to the police about her being attacked or anything like that. The Lyft driver never said anything about anyone being attacked in the car. It was just an argument. I'm sorry, my laptop battery is low. Do you mind if I plug it in really quick?
Yeah, that's fine. While you're plugging it in, let me see. Miss Barrett, Miss Foster, did you guys need me?
Hello, Your Honor.
Hey,
Hi.
Mr. Marchand, thank you. Sorry, I had to take care of that so they could leave.
No worries, my apologies. So as I was saying, so yeah, we pulled over in the Lyft driver was there. She never, there was nothing ever that happened in the Lyft other than, just a verbal argument. We get back to my home. She gets out of the Lyft before I do and darts down to the front door. She starts banging on the door. I get out after her. I come down maybe a minute or so later because I had to get all of our stuff out of the Lyft. When I get to the door, I'm just like, can you calm down before we go inside? I don't want the children to be upset. It's like we had this argument in the car. We don't have to continue it now that we're at home in front of the children. So by the time I get the door open, I think my mom actually ended up opening the door. And then Treya walked off, and I thought that she was still outside, but apparently she had left. So I go inside, I just check on the children. We were planning to go out to dinner, so I just let them know we weren't going to be going anymore, and they could put their pajamas on. So my younger daughter, she'll be 2 in March. So I was going to get her ready for bed. But before I went outside to check on Treya, but I saw that she had left. So I come back inside, I'm getting my younger daughter, ready to put her pajamas on. And then I just hear honking on outside. So Treya has pulled back up. She's outside honking the horn. She does that for maybe 2 minutes. And then she comes and starts banging on the door. When I hear her at the door, I go open the door. She's yelling, give me my baby, give me my baby. I say, she had been drinking, so she was intoxicated. So I wasn't comfortable with her leaving and driving with the baby. She lives in Fayetteville, which is an hour away from my home. So she comes inside. We have a verbal argument, just about the fact that she wants to leave and take the baby. She's telling me, I'll call the police. I'm not legitimated. So technically I have, no rights to my child. So she's like, I'm going to call the police. You think they're going to leave her with you? And I'm just like, well, call the police because they're going to tell you not to drive because you're drunk. So eventually she starts yelling for my parents to come downstairs. My mom comes downstairs, and the whole time my mom is just telling us both. She's like, Treya, please go sit down. Sean, go in your room. Like, y'all just calm down. Y'all are upsetting the children. But we're just having a heated argument at this point. I'm upset because she's making the children upset. She's getting my parents involved. And she's upset because she wants to leave. She wants to take the kid. And my whole objection to that was that she was drunk. Eventually the police come, they take Treya outside. They ask her what's going on. She explains to them. She comes back inside. We explain it to them, and they're just like, okay. They explain to her, his only issue here is that, you're drinking and he doesn't want you to drive with the baby. So she ended up having to call her mom to come get her and take her home. There's a police report of this whole incident. In the police report, they stated there was no probable cause to make any arrests. Treya said she told the police that she was jumped. I have a copy of the police report that I can share. She told the police that she was jumped.
Share your screen?
Yeah, I can share it on my screen.
Okay.
So she told the police that she was jumped.
Just let me read that.
Yeah, of course. I can share that.
Have you filed to legitimate the child?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Is this a plan of yours?
That is a plan of mine. I just wanted to get through this hearing first, and then I'll be doing that.
Well, the whole thing is, it's just important.
Absolutely. I had to go through that process with my older daughter. It's something that I've been trying to do with her instead of,
there's rights. And then the chance something like this comes up, whoever the other person is can say, no, you can't see it because you don't have,
right, exactly.
And that way, if something were to ever happen to you, there's like survivor benefits and stuff like that. So.
Exactly. And that's something I've been trying to do, together, with her so that she kind of understands what's going on. But, her perspective on it is she thinks it's a way for me to take the child from her. So she's been reluctant to sign off on it.
All right, hold on right there. Let me read it. Okay, that's it.
Yes, that's the end of the report.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen. Okay.
So
Well, I mean, did nobody tell about the supposed fight in the Lyft or the Uber or the ride share?
no, that wasn't shared with the, I let the police know when they were here that, there was an argument in the lift, but I guess they didn't feel the need to mention it. But, obviously she didn't mention it to them as either because they didn't include it in what she said to them.
You're right. I did mention it to the police. I'm sorry. I did mention it to the police, and I actually had to go to the Roswell Police Department the next day. Once I read and I was able to speak with the police officer, and I let him know that I did make the police aware of the argument inside of the fight inside of the lift, and that I didn't feel comfortable with the information that was put on this police report because it didn't include that. And I let him know I didn't feel like I was being taken seriously. They're saying that I was just screaming that, oh, he was beating my ass. I was specifically saying he just beat my ass in a Uber because that's exactly what he was doing.
Okay.
And I did go and make an amend to that police report.
So where is that?
I can get it from Roswell Police Department. I haven't been able to receive it. And I've also been in contact with Lyft because I believe
that seems like something that they wouldn't have left out. I mean, and
And
I was a cop for 15 years, so
I did share with the police officer who I spoke with the next day that I did mention it to them. And even my mother was there and she let them know that I was saying that I didn't feel like the cops on duty were taking me serious at the time. This is not the first time that I've had to go through this with my Sean, as far as starting the process for a TPO, as far as I've even let his parents know before that he had put his hands on me. I directly called his father for the first time.
Hold on. Okay. So, and in there it says you couldn't say who gave you this scratch. Did you have pictures of the scratch?
I do, yes, ma'am. The police were actually the ones who pointed. My adrenaline was so high because there were 3 people coming at the same time. The police had to point out that I was
Let me ask you one question. How are you planning on getting home beforehand?
I had already started making calls for someone to come get me.
So
and I asked during the argument, I asked them, well, what are my options? And they were not allowed. I said, I can't stay here. They weren't even allowing the option to stay there with my child. Everyone's main concern was getting me out of the house.
What was your plan to start with? I mean, you were going home, so were you just going to get in your car and go home?
I'm sorry?
Were you just going to come home, get in your car and leave?
No, my plan was to get my child out of the home and then call someone. I had already started making calls to my friends for someone to come meet me. My biggest concern was getting her out of the home because my child kept her before.
Hold on. You were going to get y'all's child.
Yes.
Yes. You're going to stand in the yard and wait for somebody to come?
No, I absolutely was going to put her in the car and lock the door. And I had already, I called his brother. I had called a couple of my friends for people to start trying to see if they could come meet me because I was not comfortable with her being there.
Now you say come meet you. So were you going to drive? Okay, never mind. All right. Let Michonne go ahead and finish what you were saying. I just had to ask her about the police report. Go ahead, Mr. Sean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, Your Honor, at the end of the day, this was a verbal altercation. There was no, as she said, no one was struck. She said that to the police. Um, as far as the scratch on her neck, I mean, she easily could have scratched herself. She was pulling her hair, she was grabbing her neck. The whole thing is she was extremely intoxicated. We had a lot to drink, and I don't think she realized how intoxicated that she was. And that's, I mean, she's saying the police weren't taking her serious. I mean, I spoke to the police that night about it, and they said they could tell how intoxicated.
I know legally what weight to give a police report. So they kind of write down what both you say, and then, I mean, he says he smelled alcohol, and then he or she puts what they heard. So what did Ms. Torrea, what does your sister know?
That's my mother. Her name is Travana.
Was she there that day?
She was the person who had to come pick me up.
I mean, but what did she see?
She is a witness today because she has been involved in all of the other incidents that has happened between me and my Sean. This is not the first time my mother has had to come get me and remove me from his home because he's put his hands on me.
She was physically, okay, hold on.
No.
Okay, so has she firsthand witness to anything?
No. But his mother, and she is not being honest.
Okay, well, but I can't hear from your mother because she's just gonna say, well, you called her, told her to come get you because this happened. So where are the pictures? And I really hate that you have that child sitting there while we're talking about this.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to share this. I can share a picture of the scratch on my neck. And my Sean actually knows that I have scratches on my neck. And he called me the next day because he went to jail that night. And he tried to
jail for this. He had some other issues
me
out of Fayette County.
I
mean, Your Honor, the very next day, her and her.
Let me show. Okay, so then tell me how you got these scratches on the back. What day was this taken?
That was taken that same night. I have also another one from the very next morning. And again, the police pointed out that I had been bleeding. I had some jewelry on. I had a necklace on, and I believe when my Sean grabbed me when he pushed me against the door, that he pulled my necklace off while doing that.
Well, did he pull your necklace off?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. There were a lot of hands coming at me at once.
So somebody pulled your necklace. Was your necklace pulled off?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You said you had another one?
And Your Honor.
Hold on, I'll get to you just 1 second, Mr. Corey. Let me finish talking to her.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it up. So this one is from the night. That's me sitting in my car right after the police pointed out that I was bleeding from my neck.
Okay. All right. All right, you can take it down. All right, let's see. What else do you want to say, Mr. Corey?
The very next day, her and her mother come to my business to threaten me. For what reason? I had nothing to do with the altercation at all. What would make this young lady bring her mother to my place of business to threaten me and made my customers and my business feel uneasy?
Your Honor, we did not threaten. Mr. Corey was not even there when we arrived. We arrived hoping that he would be there so that we could call the police because he was involved in the incident the night before. We didn't.
Wait a minute, but Miss Torrea, the police came there and he was at his house. So, I mean, they were all there. All three. So then why would you go to where he works and call the police a second time?
Because we wanted to make another report of the incident.
Why do you want to make another report? I mean, you reported it where it happened.
Because I had already told my mom that I did not feel like the police were taking me serious that evening.
Okay. Anything else, Miss Stacy?
My phone, I think, is gonna die, and if I have to turn my car on to make it work, so I'm hoping that it doesn't die.
No, it's okay. You can you can start your car.
Um, I, I didn't say. She said that she had sent me a text. Teraya and her mom have been blocked from my phone for months because I called to check on my granddaughter one day, and she was the way she talked to me and disrespectful. I put up a lot with that. I do it because I just try to keep things cordial, between them, because they were, have a daughter together and in their relationship, but we've never had, I mean, we don't care for each other. Her mom has called me at my place of employment, threatening me. So they have been blocked from my phone for months. So if she did send a text, or I don't get anything.
All right. Anything else?
And I did not put my hands on her at all. I don't even have nails, first of all, but I stood in between them for the arguing and them going back and forth just so they weren't in each other's face. That was it. There was no pulling, scratching, pulling her hair or anything. And like I told her just to sit down and relax. Even when the police officer came, I said, she's welcome to stay here. She's been in this house. She stayed in this house. The baby stays in here, stays here 4 days out of the week. And he said, well, she's not leaving until she gets her daughter. And I said, that's fine. She's welcome to stay right here.
All right. All right. Mr. Marchand, anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to what my mother said. As far as Shreya saying that, we didn't give her any other option, she didn't want any other option. Her option was to drive home with the baby. Obviously, we would have let her, stay here and let someone come pick her up. She just was being confrontational. And that's when I started asking her to leave because, she's yelling at me. She's yelling at my parents. I have an 11-year-old upstairs hearing it all. And that's why I was asking her to leave. But if she would have just came and been calm and said, hey, I'm going to wait here. We're going to leave. Someone's going to come pick us up, or even ask my parents to take her. They would have done that, and that's all.
Okay, ma'am, what else? You get the last word.
Your Honor, this is something I've been dealing with Marshawn and his family for a while. Again, this is not the first time that I've had to call the police because Marshawn put his hands on me. The very first time it happened, I called his father as I was leaving the home with my child, and he immediately said, just don't call the police. Whatever you do, just don't call the police. I have remained neutral in a lot of situations where Marshawn has harassed me, disrespect me. Even after he got the paperwork for this, he called my phone nonstop to where I would have to turn my phone off. I feel like I've been being manipulated for the past year with this child. He has not tried to work with me as far as getting legitimized. Marshawn has actually been avoiding getting legitimized because he does not want to be on child support. I don't feel comfortable and safe dealing with him. I really don't. I've tried to remain a peaceful co-parent for the sake of our child and the child that, his other child, I've been a part of her life. But anytime Marshawn does not get what he wants, it ends up being this. I'm scared that it's going to escalate. My family is scared. He slashed my tires on my car. It's just becoming like too much for me, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is not true.
I have messages of him admitting that he slashed the tire. He's offering to pay for the tire because he's saying he's wrong. He also, I also had to call the police for that, Your Honor.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I've tried to work with these people. I really have. It's becoming too much.
And Your Honor, she's sitting here saying that her own mother put her out the house and we brought her in.
She stayed with us when her mom put her out. That's correct.
That is not the truth.
Hold on.
This is crazy.
Her parents manipulate her because they want to take her and control her life.
Okay,
we brought her in and brought her in the family.
She's saying,
let her talk.
Baby.
She's saying, hold on.
Okay. So it's got all of you. Okay. Now, I mean, I've listened to this. You still can't say who did what. I mean, and I'm not going to put this in place. The sad part about the whole thing is that one, both of y'all were probably drunk and or had definitely been drinking. So neither one of y'all needed to be doing anything with this kid. Grandma and grandpa are there. They're not drunk and or drinking. Or if they had been drinking, they probably had a glass of wine and they're keeping grandkids and they got kids that probably deserved a glass of wine, but they weren't to the point where they couldn't care for this child. And then, and one thing I know that there would have been physical altercation in the ride share, they would have put y'all out and they would have called the police. They would have put you out of the ride share. Because I've had plenty of those cases. They're like, well, the Uber or the Lyft put us out. So they wouldn't have then continued to drive you back from, you know, that's not going to happen. I'm not saying you didn't yell and scream, or if they didn't put you out, then you had a crappy rideshare driver. But I mean, there's their policy, and they're gonna put you out. They don't want that in the back. They're not gonna drive down the road with some man and or woman flailing or fighting with the other, and then you can't say who did anything to you at the house. I mean, it takes a village, Mr. Michon. There's nothing to work out in a legitimation. You either file it, get her served, and go through the courts. Because if you, there's nothing for the two of you to talk about. You just file the papers and the judge signs the order. That's what happens. So, and that's probably what needs to happen here. Now, Mr. Michon, she probably won't let you see this child, which is, this is always about children end up in the middle. And it's sad that the children, and that's to both of y'all, had to hear yelling and screaming like that. I mean, and that you were holding the child and y'all were still yelling. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, y'all go outside and yell and scream, but, you know, come on, these kids are just starting out in this very cruel world. Let them enjoy peace and quiet until they are able to watch the news and see everything that happens in this world today. Let them have that peace. So I'm going to deny these. But Mr. Michon, y'all broke up, Mr.
We are. We're not together. I haven't seen her since the incident. I haven't seen my daughter since the incident. So.
Okay. Well, the sooner you file your papers, the better, because
You're right.
this is about the child, not
Right.
you. But I'm just telling you right now, the only reason you need to text her is after you is something happens with the child. Ms. Torrea, you also would need to let him know if something happens to that precious little girl. Child gets sick, you got to take her to CHOA because, you know, whatever. She get, you know, earache or whatever, you should let him know. He's the father, you know? And y'all are going to have to figure something out on when you do have parenting time with the child, that y'all can drop off at a neutral place or something. And that's sad, these kids' lives are starting off like this, but that happens. But sounds like both of y'all were drinking and or drunk and you'd be having any kind of discussion with anyone anyway. And stop pulling the grandparents in it, because when both of y'all aren't there, it's these grandparents are going to help raise this kid. It takes a village, and the village is your parents, ma'am, and his parents. That's the village that's going to raise these kids. And so make nice with each other's parents at least, because y'all will need them one day. Babysitting, something, y'all will need them one day. So if y'all all place your emails in the chat, I will send you a copy of the denial. Sir, you need to keep y'all. For the ma'am, y'all need to keep it with you for at least a week or two. Make sure you keep a copy of it so it comes off of GCIC. I am stepping away from the bench. Best of luck to you. Y'all stay healthy and safe.
Thank you, Your Honor.